You spent 3 years becoming the best at what you do. You outperformed every metric. You solved problems nobody else could touch. You became the person the team could not function without. And then the reward arrived and the promotion you had been working toward since the day you started. New title, better salary, an office with a door. 6 months later, you are sitting in that office wondering what happened. Because the job you were promoted into has almost nothing to do with the job you were promoted for. And nobody told you that would happen. Yes, that experience has a name, the Peter Principle, and it is one of the most predictable and least discussed structural failures in every organization. There are 5 specific ways the Peter Principle traps people who accept the wrong promotion, and the last one explains why the institution will never admit the promotion was a mistake, even when everyone, including you, knows it was. Here's what the Peter Principle actually says, because most people have heard the name but never understood the structural mechanics behind it. The Peter Principle states that in any hierarchical organization, every employee tends to rise to their level of incompetence. You get promoted because you are excellent at level 1. You get promoted again because you are strong at level 2. You keep rising until you reach a level where the skills that got you promoted no longer apply, and then you stop. Not because you are fired, or because you stall, permanently occupying a role you are not equipped for, unable to go back, unable to go forward, and slowly losing the professional identity that made you exceptional in the first place. The Peter Principle is not a theory about bad employees, it is a structural observation about what happens when promotion systems reward past performance with future roles that require completely different capabilities. And that is exactly what most promotion systems do. 5 ways the promotion becomes the trap, counting down from 5. Trap number 5. You were promoted for skills the new role does not use. You were the best analyst on the team, so they made you the manager of analysts. The logic sounds reasonable until you examine what the 2 roles actually require. Being the best analyst requires deep technical skill, focused individual execution, pattern recognition, and the ability to produce high-quality output independently. Managing analysts requires political navigation, conflict resolution, performance management, emotional regulation under pressure, resource negotiation, and the ability to produce results through other people rather than through your own hands. Those are not adjacent skills. Those are opposite skills. And the institution promoted you from a role that rewarded one set into a role that requires the other without ever checking whether you had both. This looks like the month you realized that the promotion from best engineer to engineering manager meant you would never write code again, and the thing you were now responsible for was making sure other people wrote code less well than you would have, and calling that leadership. The takeaway, you were promoted because you were the best at the old job. The new job does not need someone who is best at the old job. It needs someone who is best at an entirely different set of skills nobody tested you for. Trap number 4. Nobody told you the job would be completely different. The promotion conversation describes 3 things: the title, the salary, and the opportunity. It almost never describes the daily lived experience of the role, the meetings that fill 80% of your calendar, the emotional labor of managing people who do not want to be managed, the political navigation required to protect your team from decisions made above you, and the specific loneliness of being responsible for outcomes you cannot personally control. If the promotion conversation included an honest description of what the job actually feels like on a Tuesday afternoon in month 4, fewer people would accept, and the institution knows this, which is why the pitch focuses on the package and omits the reality. This looks like the 3rd month in the new role when you realized your calendar had not had a single focused work block in 6 weeks, and the job that was pitched as leading the team actually meant spending every day in meetings about other people's work while your own expertise slowly atrophied from disuse. The takeaway, the promotion pitch describes the title and the salary. It never describes the actual daily experience. If it did, the acceptance rate would be significantly lower. The best individual contributor almost never becomes the best manager. The skills are not transferable, they are opposite. Trap number 3, you lost the work that made you feel competent. This is the trap that does the most psychological damage, and because it attacks your professional identity, not just your daily experience. Before the promotion, you knew who you were professionally. You were the person who solved the hard problems, the person who delivered the work nobody else could match, the person whose competence was visible, tangible, and undeniable every single day. That competence was not just your job performance. It was your professional identity, your source of confidence, and the foundation of how you understood your own value. The promotion removed all of it. The work you were great at is now someone else's job. Your job is to watch them do it, often less well than you would, and call that delegation. This looks like the evening you stayed late in your new office, not because you had work to finish, but because you no longer knew what your work was, and the only thing that felt real was the memory of being excellent at something you are no longer allowed to do. The takeaway, the work that made you feel competent, is now someone else's job. Your job is to watch them do it worse than you would and call that management. The identity loss is the real cost of the wrong promotion. Trap number two, you cannot go back without it looking like failure. This is the structural reason the Peter Principle is permanent rather than self correcting. In theory, if a promotion does not work out, the rational response would be to return to the role where you were exceptional, take the institutional loss, restore your competence, and let someone better suited take the management position. In practice, this almost never happens, because the institution has no mechanism for moving backward that does not carry the label of failure. A demotion, even a voluntary one, even one you requested, is read institutionally as evidence that you could not handle the responsibility. Your colleagues read it as failure. Your manager reads it as a judgment error they made by promoting you. HR reads it as a complication that requires documentation. The ladder only goes up even when up is the wrong direction because the institution has built no dignified way to go back down. This looks like the conversation you almost had with your manager 6 times. The one where you would say, I think I was more effective in the previous role and I want to go back, except every time you reached for the words, you calculated the institutional cost of saying them and decided the cost was too high. The takeaway, there is no institutional mechanism for moving backward without the label of failure attached. The ladder only goes up, even when up is the wrong direction for you. But none of these traps compare to trap number one, and this is the one that explains why bad promotions almost never get reversed even when everyone involved knows the promotion was a mistake. The institution does not promote you into a role you will succeed in. It promotes you out of a role it needs to fill. Trap number one, the institution needs you to fail quietly. Here is the institutional truth that nobody in management will ever say directly. When the institution promotes the wrong person, reversing the promotion is more expensive than tolerating the failure, because reversing it means admitting the promotion system made a mistake, which calls into question every other promotion decision made by the same system. Your manager who recommended you for the role cannot reverse it without acknowledging their own judgment error. HR cannot process a voluntary demotion without creating a precedent that other employees could use to negotiate backward moves. The senior leadership who approved it cannot reverse it without admitting the calibration process failed. So the institution does the only thing it can do. It lets you stall quietly in a role that does not fit, absorbing the cost of your underperformance because that cost is lower than the cost of admitting the system was wrong. This is why the promoted manager who is clearly struggling does not get fired and does not get moved back. They get left in place, quietly underperforming, while the institution works around them rather than through them. The institution does not fire people who were promoted into incompetence. It lets them stall because admitting the promotion was wrong is more expensive than tolerating the failure indefinitely. So here is the question this video was built to answer. Should you say no to a promotion? Not always. But you should say no to the wrong promotion, and you should know the difference before you accept. The wrong promotion moves you from a role where your skills create measurable value into a role where those skills are irrelevant and a completely different set of capabilities, ones you have never tested to determine your success or failure. The right promotion moves you into a role where your existing strengths still apply, where the new demands build on your capabilities rather than replacing them, and where the daily experience of the work still aligns with the kind of professional you want to be. Here is the honest closing. The Peter Principle is not inevitable. It is the default outcome of a promotion system that rewards past performance with a fundamentally different future job. And the default only wins when you accept the promotion without evaluating whether the new role matches your actual capabilities, your professional identity, and the kind of work that makes you exceptional. Saying no to the wrong promotion is not a failure of ambition. It is the most strategically intelligent career decision available to you because the alternative is spending years stalling in a role that removed everything that made you great while the institution pretends the mistake never happened. Before you accept the next promotion, ask 5 questions. Does the new role use the skills that make me exceptional? Or does it require a completely different set I have never tested? Will I still do the work that gives me professional identity and satisfaction? Or will I watch other people do it while I manage the process? Is there a path back if it does not work? Or is the ladder one directional with no dignified way to return? Has anyone described the actual daily experience of this role honestly? Or have they only described the title and the salary? And would I take this role if it had the same title and the same pay as my current one? Or is the only reason I am considering it the status and the compensation? The smartest career move is not always upward. Sometimes it is sideways, into higher impact, higher pay, and higher satisfaction without the title that destroys all 3. Not every promotion is a reward. Some are traps with better titles. Know the difference before you accept.